Have you ever felt like that sort of a numbness where you just can't relate to anything, when you just like can't get yourself to do things and you don't know why you should be doing things? Well, that happened to me for a couple of years. And the reason why it happened to me is that I was conditioned when I was younger. Basically, I was living through some painful emotions, as well as I think most of us. And it was definitely a part of me. And for many, many years, I didn't dare to experience, I didn't dare to feel the bad. And as a result, I couldn't feel the good. I was just shutting down completely. I wasn't functioning very well. Because of that, I was just stopping myself from doing things. I was stopping my emotions. I basically froze. I felt like I need to be there. I would need to be dealing with these things, but I couldn't deal with these. Couldn't deal with my emotions, couldn't deal with situations. I felt like all the situations had power over me. And that was a very disempowering period of my life. That went on for 20x years. And I started to believe. I actually believed that so deeply that that is who I was, that I didn't even see the possibility to be someone else. I was shutting myself down completely. And because of the emotional shutdown, I shut down mentally. I was trying to think myself out of situations instead of just letting the feeling just come and go, and it can be resolved much quicker. And as a result, I just ended up overthinking so much. That doesn't mix well with who I wanted to be, what life I wanted to live, because it was miserable. I felt miserable so long. You know, when people say that when the pain is big enough, that's the time when you are changing. And that was definitely with me as well. I couldn't relate. I couldn't understand intuitively, emotionally, what it means to be in a good state, to be something else. That reality just completely was missing from my perception. That was an unknown. Didn't even know that would exist. As a result, I just wouldn't even dare going there. And basically, I was shutting myself down completely, my mind as well. This is not possible because one emotion can breathe hundreds, thousands, millions of thoughts. Thoughts are emotions trying to get out, trying to get understood, trying to find a way to sort out those things. And I just didn't realize how much it was affecting my life. And when the pain got strong enough, I decided that it was no life. I didn't feel alive. I didn't feel like I was actually experiencing life how I could be experiencing life. I realized I was so miserable that it didn't make sense to exist like that. I realized that the only way out was a way through. So I started taking on a lot of responsibility. I started reading books. I started going out to places, putting myself into situations. And the only way I knew how to deal with these situations is to expose myself and then suffer the consequences, or just to avoid it. But as of my previous experience of shutting myself down completely, that wasn't a walkable way. That wasn't sustainable. So I needed to put myself out to situations. And that's when I started doing acting and put myself out there. And that brought a lot of things that I didn't want to acknowledge out of me. I actually had blackouts so many times. When I was in front of people, my heartbeat must have been like 200-300,000 maybe. I don't know. But it felt like very strong. And once one of my teachers actually pointed out that, oh my God, this is what this situation brings out of you. And I'm like, I know. So walking through this and having exposed myself to these situations, I actually was trying to get exposure to, so I get used to it. But as I later realized, that was such a childish way of dealing with things, because where I was emotionally in the fight or flight response, I just couldn't learn new things. I couldn't calm down. I couldn't understand the situations. Only by reflecting on it later, I could have more of an idea what things were about. At that time, I also couldn't slow down. I was just like putting myself out constantly. So actually, I can be feeling something, even if it's humiliation or stress or overwhelm, or I just can't deal with it. It was much better than just sitting at home and just be overwhelmed by nothing at all. So I needed to find the emotions. I needed to find the state of body. I needed to find the state of mind that I felt I was missing so desperately. And I just couldn't be in situations. I was afraid all the time. And I found some really, really good things, like how to put yourself out. After having read like more than 500 books on this subject, I can remember one of the first books I read was The Body Keeps the Score, and it's about traumas. And I realized that some part of my story must have traumatized me, and I didn't even know about that. I'm like, how can that be? And what part was it? I can't even remember, maybe. I started moving these things, these emotions, these habits, these belief habits out of my body. And that started empowering me day by day. And after not being able to come out of the house for a long time and feeling so much anxiety, and even before something would happen, I would sabotage myself because I didn't feel like I deserved that. And going through these and failing over and over again, failing bigger, and going through the emotional turmoil I needed to go through so I actually feel and I'm able to relax in situations. That was very, very painful, but it was so worth it. I feel like I wanted to open up to the world. I wanted to open up my mind. I wanted to open up my body. I wanted to open up the possibilities. I didn't want to be afraid of the potential that I have. I didn't want to be afraid of the power that I might be having. I was holding so much back, and it was clear, it was evident after a while. Because sometimes when things happen, I would be feeling good. For example, before sleep, when I would be falling asleep, that was a good sensation. I was like, okay, there's a possibility out there that I'm not living. Or when I was prepared, or I was in a situation where I felt really comfortable. The problem was, for around 9 years, I was putting myself into so many uncomfortable situations that I didn't have the means to digest, especially in that state. It was just like putting yourself into something ridiculous so you can actually be ridiculed and just like can feel shit about yourself. I was just like getting into situations. I was getting into situations where I was controlled, I was manipulated, because I had so much insecurity and I had so much void inside of me that people could be using it against me. If someone in that state would have given me something that would fill the void inside of me, I would just like, would do anything. I would do anything to get that love, that attention, that belonging, that sense of validation from anyone. And that is not a good state to be in. Because I forgot about myself. I forgot who I was. I didn't even know it anymore. Or maybe I had never known who I really was, because I was constantly in the state. And then I remembered some parts in my childhood when I felt free and I decided I really wanted to get this feeling back. Because this cannot fucking be having responsibilities and just living your life and working. It just makes you feel miserable. That is fucking ridiculous. I'm just like, this is still not what I want. This is still not a life. I do not want this. I need to get something better. I need to get something that I want. I need to get back to that feeling as well that I had constantly when I was younger, when I believed in possibilities, when I allowed my mind to just dream and just to go wild. And I decided I need to get back to my authenticity. I need to get back to daring. I need to get back to action. I needed to get away from the fear of judgment, to be afraid of people's opinion, not saying what I mean, because it wasn't a walkable path. I was just constantly going in the loop, trying to figure things out. And I was living that reality for more than 20 years. And I was like, how? How can I make it better? How can I make myself be the person who I would be proud of, who would come over this and would come out as a victor? Accidentally, I am called Victor. So I think that was part of what motivated me, because I could associate a little part of me with just winning. And that helped a lot. So as I said, I was people-pleasing. And when I was people-pleasing, I lost myself completely after a while. I was trying to do things for people. I give myself too short. I was trying to fill a void inside of me by just getting validation from people, and wasn't sustainable. I needed to get good at things that I was so bad at. And that was communication. I couldn't communicate my state. I wouldn't dare to say something that would offend someone, so they would think bad of me, so that it would mean that they just reject me. And that would have meant the worst possible outcome for me at that time. I didn't even dare to think of something that would be worse. And that was my focus. I was focusing on it constantly. I couldn't communicate myself. I couldn't put myself in a state to feel better. I couldn't give the right meaning to things. I didn't know who I was. I didn't even know who I would be if people wouldn't tell me who I was or where I belonged. It deeply frustrated me. I hated myself, because after a while, I just did things that I didn't want to do. I behaved in a way that made me weaker and weaker, until I had a moment when I decided I need to fucking change. I need to take more responsibility, because this is making me miserable, and people around me suffer because of the weakness I portray. However strong I was trying to be, I felt like I was getting weaker and weaker, and what the heck is going on? Then I was like, I need to explore the possibilities. I need to decide authentically. I need to be making those decisions. I need to get back to my authenticity. I need to work on myself even stronger, because I have no other chance to do anything I like. I didn't know myself. I was getting away from myself further and further. And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted from life. I didn't know who I wanted to become. I just knew I just wanted to get away from this. I started reading that. I think that saved my life. I started reading about possibilities, about different ways of living. Some self-help books as well. Everything that I could put my hand on. And then slowly I started realizing there was a different reality out there than what I know, what I have experienced. And I started to apply those. However, I didn't know how to. And that took years. And in the meantime, people who I knew were trying to hold me back. But I believed I just wanted to get away. Just wanted to get away from my life. Because whatever I seemed to be having, whoever I seemed to be having around, whatever my job title is, however much money I'm making, it just didn't matter. I still was feeling so miserable. And I was like, there's just one way. I need to be working on myself. So I started reading a lot of books. And I can remember reading this book from Naval Ravikant, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And there was this idea in there that if you're not 100% sure about something, that's probably a no. And then it made me think, I wasn't sure about anything in my life. I wasn't sure about how I'm interacting with people. I wasn't sure about who I was. I wasn't sure about the people in my life. I wasn't sure about my situation. I wasn't sure about my job, anything. And then when I got back home, I said no. I said I wanted to break up. I want to live my life how I want to live my life, no matter what. fully. I want to mean it. I want to be taking the responsibility. I want to be figuring out what the heck is going on and why. I want to find the reasons. I want to find the reasons to get better. I want to find who I actually could be if I would be making the decisions that I never made because of the fear of consequences that I only saw the bad part of. I only concluded to negative possibilities exactly from that negative state that I was in. I couldn't imagine more of my future than those emotions I had in me. So I started making decisions. I started just saying, no, I don't want this. And I meant it. And I felt a little bit better. I don't like to live here. I moved away. I moved away from the country. I moved away from London. I need nature. I want nature. I moved to nature. I want to give myself time to digest what's happened with me in the past 9 years. And I did everything. I'm like, no one is going to tell me how I'm going to live my life. No one is going to tell me what is right and what is wrong. No one is going to keep me in situations where I don't want to be in. No one. And that felt empowering. That felt like there is light, end of the tunnel. So having made the decisions that I needed to make made me powerful, made me feel like I have control over my life, made me hopeful, gave me the possibility to feel, gave me the possibility to be myself. I started loving it. Started loving life. Started loving who I was becoming. Started loving who I could be becoming. I started to see the possibilities, the good outcome, the future outcome that I'd never seen before. I started taking on courses. I started doing some seminars that would give me an idea of what is possible. And I got to know some techniques and some strategies that helped me so much. Along with those books that gave me the possibility. I'm just so grateful for everything that happened because I know that the depth of this experience is just so valuable. And if I deal with these well, if I handle my cards well, I would be able to help someone. I would be able to inspire someone maybe. I would be able to just make a connection. If I am finally myself, maybe I wouldn't feel like people are hating me. And I don't care anymore. I don't care. I've been humiliated so many times and I've been made feel bad so many times. And I've been abandoned so many times. And I've been just running away from things so many times. I've been feeling fear, whatever. Doesn't concern me anymore. I don't care. I'm focusing on the next step. I'm focusing on who I can be. I'm focusing on the right things in the right state and giving everything the right meaning that empowers me. And that is my choice. That is what I'm dedicating myself to. And that is my new standard. And I don't care whoever says what. It is realization that I'm also making a difference with people who I am surrounded by. If I'm just owning my story, if I'm just focusing on what is possible, if I'm just focusing on the potential good that I can be giving to people, how can I give value? How can I give the possibility? How can I make people aware that everything is possible? Because I know that the feeling that I had back then made everything impossible. And I realized that this is what I need to be doing. I need to sort myself out. And that is a fucking decision. I need to go through this to understand. And I was too proud to ask for any advice. I was too proud to ask for help, anything. I felt like there was nothing wrong. I felt like it was normal. So altogether, I'm on a journey to discover even more what I'm capable of. And what can happen if I'm just feeling capable. And if I just keep doing things. If I just acknowledge myself and give myself the love I deserve. and give everyone the respect they deserve and connection. I just want to see what's possible if I don't hold myself back, because that is hell of a life. It's actually how I would define hell. If you're just in a state where you feel like nothing is possible and you're a victim, that is hell. So no matter where you are, no matter who you are or who you think you are, everything is possible and you can change it. And everyone can change it. It just needs to happen in the right environment. Because sometimes you only need a push. Sometimes you just need to see someone has done it. Sometimes you just need to make the choices someone else made. And it might not be easy, but it will be worthwhile. Because every choice that you make will empower you and make you who you are. Will get you closer to who you are supposed to be. And there's nothing in the unknown than more of who you are. If you could relate to this story, and if you feel like there's something for you here, I would love you to hit the subscribe button and connect, because I just think that if I don't give, I don't care. Sharing is caring. And I think I've cared too much about others and others' opinions, and that's why I held myself back. But now I care from a different place, and I own it. Love you, you're fucking amazing. And just keep doing what you do and become more of who you are, because we all need more authenticity. So see you.